Okay, so thrilled today, folks. We've got a lot of cool stuff. We have the ban appeals. So it is still the year of our Lord 2020, Mod Appreciation Week. We're halfway through Mod Appreciation Week, where proceeds from stream are going to our mods as a way of saying thank you. So basically, we have a Discord, right? And on our Discord, sometimes people get banned. So just so you guys know, our Discord is really a place for like people who are interested in the values of Healthy Gamer. It's about like understanding yourself better, growing as a human being. It's not about sharing the dankest memes in a place for the lulls. I mean, we want people to have fun, and there are chill channels and stuff like that where we want people to enjoy themselves. But our Discord is really focused on growth. It's not focused on fun. What we're going to do today is actually like talk to people who have been banned and try to get a sense of like what their understanding was of why they got banned. And then we will let you guys kind of vote on what we should do in terms of letting them back onto Discord or not.
Uh, Hello?
Hey man.
Oh, hold on. Is it for some reason it's going through my VR headset? Hold on.
Okay then. So what do you go by, man?
Just call me Gan because my name is Ganymede, so just call me Ganny.
Ganny. Okay. So Ganny, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to join the Healthy Gamer community?
Well, initially I was watching your streams and I was watching the VODs on YouTube, and initially the one that drew me in was there was a guy, I think his name was Paul or something, and he was like, it was about the whole incel conversation, and I saw that, and I saw a few of your other streams and stuff, and I kind of liked the sort of angle that the channel was taking, where it was like applying the sort of mental health or the sort of like sort of mental health angle for like the gaming community. And I thought that as somebody who is a part, like pretty active in the gaming community, and as somebody who engages frequently with like Discord and video games, that I would benefit from being in a community that was sort of centered around that.
That's awesome, man. We made the community for people like you. And so what happened when you joined the Discord? How did you get yourself banned?
Well, a lot of the times I think it was repeated behavior. I think it was stuff that was happening over and over and over again, where I was kind of using it as a platform more to vent, and like people would give me advice and people would like tell me things to do, but a lot of the times I wouldn't say I ignored it completely. Like a lot of the times I would try my best to address it, but a lot of the times I feel like the advice was either not specific enough, or it was kind of hard to take action on, and I was just a bit confused sometimes. So as much as I tried to sort of take advice, I maybe wasn't the best at listening to others, and a lot of the times the advice to me seemed kind of cliche and seemed kind of like stuff I've heard like a million times before.
And how did you respond to it?
Well, usually what I would do is I would try to sort of address it, or I mean, the thing is when you're in a text chat, there are so many people talking at you at once. It's almost impossible to address what everybody is saying. But I wouldn't necessarily address every single thing that was said to me necessarily, because there was just so much of it, and people would get mad at me because they would say, "Oh, why aren't you addressing what I'm saying?"
Interesting.
And
So
can I add one more thing? Because
yeah,
there was
please.
multiple reasons why I was banned. I think I was also banned for making like not safe for work comments as well, or saying things that were not kind of like out of place. And I'm for the most part like used to being in communities where that stuff is okay, but I understand that like a lot of the times it was out of place, and a lot of the times some of the remarks I was making were inappropriate and really did not have to be said.
All right, so let me just make sure I hear you, Ganny. So on the one hand, it sounds like you were maybe reaching out for support and people would try to support you, but they would try to support you with cliche advice. And you're saying that you would respond in ways where you couldn't address everyone.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. So generally speaking, that's a little bit confusing to me because that's usually doesn't like, at least as far as I understand, that doesn't get you banned. Like usually what gets you banned is like, if someone gives you advice and you respond in a toxic manner, that could get you banned. So I'm curious about the way that you responded. Was it just that, hey guys, I'm a little bit confused and I can't get to everyone? Because that sounds weird, because that's the way you're making it sound.
I think a big reason too is because I would go to the chat with the same issue repeatedly, and people would kind of get tired of me sort of monopolizing or taking over the chat and sort of like with my issues because it would be the same issue over and over and over again, and I think
Okay.
people were kind of fed up with that.
Okay, so it sounds like you were asking for help, but when people were trying to help you, I get the sense that you kind of weren't meeting them halfway.
Yeah.
You were rejecting the help that they offered and you kept on asking and you kept on rejecting help.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. And then it also sounds like you were posting some things that were inappropriate and you're a gamer on the internet. And so a lot of times posting things that are not safe for work is like completely normal in some communities, but it's not okay in our community.
Yeah, I understand that.
And the other thing that I'm hearing from you, which I think is quite insightful, is that it seems like these aren't one time things. These are like multiple times that you were doing this.
Yeah, like I was muted twice before I was or yeah, twice before I was banned. So I understand like why I don't okay, I feel like the final ban like it kind of came out of nowhere. I was kind of surprised, but at the same time I understand why after repeated offenses I would be banned.
Okay, so let's like dig into that for a second. When you get
Okay.
muted once and then you get unmuted, what was going through your head? Like, how do
Uh
you get muted again?
Well, I was muted for different reasons. So I would get muted for something, and then I'd say, "Oh, I guess I'm not gonna do that again." But then I wouldn't do that again. But then I get muted for like a completely different reason or for
I see.
something else.
Okay. And then yeah, so I'm also hearing like some degree of like almost conflict or confusion in terms of on the one hand like yeah, you got banned cuz you were muted twice, but on the other hand it sounds like you felt like you were breaking different rules each time. And so it sort of felt like it came out of nowhere, but on the other hand, someone who gets muted twice and gets banned, it's like not that unreasonable, but to you it still felt like it sort of came out of left field.
Yeah, because there wasn't like a specific thing I said that caused me to be banned. It was just general. I mean, I could read. I think I still have the message from the bot. I don't know if you. It says
So
here. Am I allowed to read it out or?
yeah, we'll let Moses do that.
Yeah, I think it was just mostly inappropriate comments related to sex was the big one.
Yeah, that's understandable. I feel like because a lot of the issues I was having were like not safe for work issues, so I was trying to talk about them, but I wasn't really sure how to talk about them in a way that was in a way that was necessarily appropriate for the server. But maybe I guess if an issue is not safe for work and it's I probably better to talk about it somewhere else or not talk about it at all.
I'm curious, Moses, can we go into a little bit more detail? Because that's kind of an interesting question, right? Like, so sometimes people do have issues that may not be safe for work. And like, how do we want to and how do we address those on our Discord? People in chat are saying make an NSFW channel, but I feel like that would
No,
quickly become a
no, 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 no.
cesspool for license for people to say all kinds of stuff. And then they're like, oh, it's the NSFW channel.
One comment was, I just get extreme satisfaction when people are shamed and have negative things happen to them as a result of sex.
Okay.
I mean, that just sounds less NSFW and more just like bitter and like maybe inappropriate in another way, less in an NSFW. You know what I mean?
Ganny, what I hear you saying is that like you're not necessarily advocating for those feelings. You're just trying to share that you feel a certain way and maybe you want to work on that. Am I being like too optimistic there? Or you just,
I feel like it's a mix of both. Like I do want to work on them, absolutely. Like I do want to see them change because I know they're not productive thoughts and behaviors. But at the same time, sometimes when I let them out, maybe I'm not necessarily 100% thinking about it at that in that way in that moment. But it is something I want to change if that makes any sense.
yeah. So what are the other ways in which you're thinking about it? That's insightful of you to realize that there is like something toxic about those statements. It's not just growth and positivity, right? What else is there?
Well, I feel like part of it kind of gets it off my chest, or like sort of it's a venting, as it said in the ban reason. It's venting. A lot of it is releasing some of my anger because a lot of the times, I mean, I do harbor a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, and a lot of the times I release it through like inflammatory or negative comments, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do we want to go into more detail about what kind of inflammatory or negative comments those could be?
I mean, if you want me to be specific, specifically things around like sexuality, or like my inability to the fact that I'm not sexually active, or the fact that other people are able to be sexually active but I'm not, like specifically that is, I think, the thing that causes frustration for me.
And so, Ganny, just to kind of clarify, so like when you have those feelings, what have you noticed? Like, what has the internet taught you is like the appropriate way to communicate that?
What is the internet I mean, the internet hasn't necessarily taught me a lot of positive things when it comes to dealing with
Yep.
that. I feel like what the internet teaches me is that you post something, and then a bunch of people get frustrated at you, and a bunch of people try to argue with you, and then you cause like a big scene, and then that's basically how you deal with your problems, rather than, how can I improve, and how can I get better, or how can I change this, right?
Sure. So Moses, anything else you want to add in terms of like logs or anything of
I
that?
mean, do you feel comfortable with me saying this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if it can help other people that might be going through the same thing, I think it'd be fine to share it, or I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
So,
just share it.
because like here's the thing, right, Ganny, is like people need another way to think about some of these topics, and people need to understand like what is okay to say and what is not okay to say.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we do that without providing examples.
Okay, yeah,
Does that make
go fire
sense?
away. Yeah.
All right. Log one. I honestly can't conceive of the fact that millions of guys literally get to have sex with whoever they want, while I raw alone, never getting to feel the touch of a woman. Seems kind of unfair, don't it?
Jay?
All right, keep going.
Yeah,
Yep.
keep going.
Next, log two. I feel that I am treated like a second-class citizen through the denial of sex by women. I don't think every individual woman owes me sex, but I think I am owed it in a fair world. Log three.
Okay.
Can a trans woman get wet?
That was one that was pointed out to me that I know is inappropriate for obvious reasons.
Log four. Am I allowed to talk about wanting to KMS on here? And then the last log was the one I already said. When people are ashamed and have negative things happen to them as a result of sex.
So Ganny, what is it like when you hear Moses read off what you've said?
Well, I feel like when you say these things, or when I say these things, I don't really think about it before I say it. So to hear it sort of said back to me after I've had some time to think about maybe some of these things, it kind of makes me it makes me think again about maybe some of the things I've been saying, and maybe how reasonable. I mean, I think a lot of it sounds kind of unreasonable and stuff I wouldn't say again, but at the same time, I mean, I've said it. So it's very easy to say, oh, I wouldn't say this, but I've already said it. So it just it doesn't seem it seems it's very, I mean, hindsight is 2020, but yeah, no, it sucks to hear these things. I mean, I don't like to hear these things.
How do you feel about yourself hearing these things?
Oh, geez, that's kind of harsh. I honestly feel like I mean, I kind of I hear what this person is saying, and I know this person is me, but I hear what this person is saying, and I just think of like, why is this person so angry, or what happened to this person to make them like so bitter, and so, or I mean, maybe not what happened to this person, because that kind of, but like, because I feel like when you think about what happened to the person, it's kind of relieving them from some responsibility, but like, why does this person have to say these horrible things, right?
It's interesting that you thought my question was harsh. Um,
It's not harsh at all. It's just I'm
no,
just saying it's harsh to think about for me, not necessarily
yeah.
the
So
question's
so
harsh.
and I think that it's kind of interesting because what I'm hearing you say is that like you recognize that this person is you, but you also recognize that like this isn't all of you, right? This is a piece of yourself that is
Yeah, for
angry and
sure.
resentful, and you're able to like when you hear it, it's like that certainly doesn't sound like the Ganny that I'm talking to right now, right? You seem
Yeah.
level-headed, you seem like thoughtful. You're careful to not like absolve yourself of responsibility. You're trying really hard to take responsibility. I hear that, right? Because you kind of say, I say that I'm not going to do it again, but then again, I did it several times. So how can I even say that I'm not going to do it again, even though in this moment I really feel like I'm not going to do it again?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, can I be honest about something? I think this is something I want to make clear. If I am for some reason allowed back into the server, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily talk about my issues in it necessarily, because I feel like when I do, like it tends to go in a negative direction, and I tend to end up saying things that I regret. And I'm not saying, and I feel like for me, if I were to use the community again, I'd probably use it to either talk about other people's issues or just have fun, like just talk to people in the VCs. Because honestly, I feel like whenever I talk about things that are going through my head, I kind of go down a rabbit hole, and I start to hurt the people around me, and I start to, I don't know, like it's maybe like I just need to take a break from like my thinking so much about myself and my own
Sure.
my own problems.
I mean, oddly enough, Ganny, I think, and so we'll sort of ask Twit chat and Zach to kind of, yeah. So Zach's got a poll up, but here's what I think. So I think that that's like a really productive take. I do hope that our community is a place where we can actually address some of those feelings, but not in an like incel kind of approach or language. Like I think the way that you reacted to listening to your own language is actually the healthy way, right? Is to like ask yourself, like, where does this anger and resentment come from? And I think if your
Yeah.
focus is on like, I feel angry towards women and I find myself like falling into this incel red pill kind of like thinking, do you guys have any thoughts about like how I can start to think about things differently? And I think
I
this
mean,
is
that would be
where,
a more, yeah, sorry,
yeah,
no, keep
so I
going.
mean, I do want our Discord to be a place where people can like authentically look at the dark part of themselves and try to change. I think in your case there's a double doozy because it sounds like maybe you did that and people tried that with you, right? Like they tried to give you advice, they tried to talk to you, and it sounds like for whatever reason you shot them down every single time. And so what I would really also look at if you are unbanned is to like ask yourself, why do I ask for help and then shoot it down? Because that too is like angry and resentful and hopeless.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So let's see what do you think? You think Twitch chat is going to want to unban you?
I'm gonna be honest. Am I allowed to read the Twitch chat? Because I know
Nope,
in
don't.
some.
No reading Twitch chat. You have to
Okay,
tell me what
I
you
think
think.
I don't think so, because I feel like some of the comments I make, people are gonna hear them and be like, "Oh, what's this guy's problem?"
So interestingly enough, so it seems like Twitch chat, 63% of Twitch chat feels like you should be unbanned.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, man. And frankly, I'm not surprised because I think you're not the toxic asshole that you are at times when you talk like this. Like the person
Yeah,
that we're talking to right now, Ganny, is I think like absolutely allowed on our server. It's when you start to like become this other person, which you absolutely have inside you, that doesn't belong here. Because you have to understand that not only is that not helpful towards you, but it's actually hurtful towards other people. I know sometimes it just feels like words to you. You know, if you ask like inappropriate questions about like transgender people, like they're transgender people come to our Discord for like to be like safe and accepted. And you come to our Discord because you want to be safe and accepted. So when like people are bashing incels, like that's hurtful towards you. And when you
I
bash
don't
other
really.
people, like that's hurtful towards them.
I mean, I feel like when people bash incels, I don't really get that upset because I don't identify myself as an incel, even though I know that people might think I am one. I don't know. I just don't really like identify myself that way.
Okay. Mistaken assumption on my part.
Yeah.
I'm curious now. Last question. How do you identify yourself?
Well, I think I'm just a struggling individual who has problems, who has resentment, and I feel like putting a label on it, for especially like a label from the internet. I feel like that's not necessarily going to help me, especially when a lot of the people who consider themselves incels are very, like, they're not the kind of productive people you want to surround yourself with. They're the kind of people that try to drag you down, and the kind of people that aren't like trying to get you to improve yourself. You know what I mean?
Sure. So that sounds like a really good answer. And so I'd be really, really careful, Ganny, when you start using labels about other people. Because
Okay.
just like you're a fucking insult, man. But like that label doesn't help, right? It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't speak to when you talk about being entitled to sex, like that's incel language. And at the same time,
Yeah.
you're not an incel because you're a human being who's struggling and has like resentment and anger issues, and you're trying to grow as a person. So be careful the next time you call someone like an inappropriate label because you feel angry, because you're doing the same thing to them that people do to you when they call you an incel, which is that you're
Yeah, that's
dehumanizing
fair.
them. And I don't
Yeah.
think it's fair to label you as an incel, even though in a sense you fit the bill. Like, I don't think it's helpful, right? Like, I get behind your definition, which is that you're someone who's like trying to grow as a human being and you've got challenges. But then you should give that same respect to other people.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right, good luck, Annie.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man. And it looks
Yeah,
like
no problem, man.
Twitch chat in a 2-to-1 ratio feels like you should be allowed back onto the server.
All right.
All right. Take care, man.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Hey, man.
Hey, what's up?
Can you tell me what would you like to be like? How do you want to be referred to? What should I call you?
Breckenworks, that's my first name.
Can you first start by telling me a little bit about how you came to our community and kind of why you joined the Discord?
I saw your streams with like Recful and a couple other streamers, and then I saw a link for your Discord on the Healthy Gamer site because
Okay.
I went on originally to like contact you, or like see if it was possible to set up like an actual medical appointment, but I didn't know if you did like online
Sure.
therapy, like actual online therapy, like
Sure.
like medical. Yeah, and then I found the Discord that way.
Okay. And so you signed up for the Discord and you've been banned, right?
Yes.
And so help me understand a little bit about like what happened and what's your understanding of why you got banned.
I in real life I've been diagnosed with borderline. So
Okay.
and I'm not medicated right now due to a lot of other reasons, but I don't want to like excuse like things I did because of that, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't have to do with it at all.
Sure.
And
Can you just
I kinda-
explain to us what borderline means?
it's almost like you get into these states where you feel something like this creeping feeling well up in your chest, and you can't really like let it out through any way other than anger.
Okay. So you have some feeling and then you get angry.
Yeah, it's like instead of like regulating your emotions normally, it's like taking it out on yourself and others because of just like the building up and then not being able to release it through like normal
Sure.
means. And
Okay. So what happened on Discord?
I had brought up something about being a victim of like a sexual incident, and then someone like said something passive aggressive to me about it, and so I like responded like really harshly and just attacked him. But that was the warning. And then the ban was, I attacked someone, which was completely unwarranted on their end, so it was my fault that time. But I didn't hold back at all. I just went as hard as I could on him, and I just thought of like the things to say that would hurt him the most, basically.
So it sounds like you understand that you really were not nice to him
Yeah.
and that you were out to hurt him.
Yes.
And so but it also sounds like you sort of recognized that that was bad and that maybe you were like weren't in control of your emotions at that time.
Well, yeah, I wasn't in control of my emotions at the time. Like, for example, like I've broken like 2 or 3 smartphones, and like also have like gambling and drug addiction problems and stuff. So this isn't like
Sounds rough, man.
this isn't like it isn't even something that happens that much.
Sounds like it happens rarely and sometimes explosively.
Yeah, it's like whenever I'm at the boiling point and it just wells up in my chest. It's like primal rage.
Yeah, and then you can't control it.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it sounds to me like you really dealt with a lot of really unfortunate things, and I feel compassion for kind of the way that your life has been. I do feel like we want to support you, and it's not fair that you've had to deal with the things that you've had to deal with. It sounds like you have your fair share of struggles, and our Discord is actually a place where we want people like you who have struggles. Like, that's what the Healthy Gamer Discord is about. It's about people who struggle and giving them a space where they can like work on their struggles in sort of a proactive way.
Mhm.
Makes perfect sense. So I'm really conflicted personally, because on the one hand I feel like it's a place where you belong, and we made the Discord for places for people like you, and bizarrely, because we made it for people like you, it makes it really unacceptable when you kind of go off on them. And I'm
Yeah,
personally
I agree.
torn because I see that you recognize that you made a mistake, and you sort of didn't feel like you were in control of your actions. And so I genuinely don't know kind of what to do.
Like even if I were to get unbanned, I probably wouldn't join back simply like right now at least until like I just don't think I would be ready to participate in the community right now. And like whenever I go in there, sometimes whenever I would be in like a negative state of mind, like in a lot of ways, it would make me feel like even more estranged from people, just seeing how like just seeing people's reactions or like responses. I mean, there were a couple people that I think I helped really, but like other than that,
Brecken, I really respect you for saying that. If you did something wrong and you feel like you should apologize for it, I think, you tossed out the phrase net negative effect. But I think by coming on here, I think you just flipped that around, because I think that when people mess up and they like try to make it right, my hope is that the world becomes a net positive. Doesn't always happen, but I do think generally speaking that there are not enough people who are given an opportunity to say, "Hey, like I kind of fucked up and I'm sorry about that." I also really, really commend you for recognizing that even if you are unbanned, that maybe your interaction with our Discord is not in its healthiest space right now.
I need to address a lot of things probably beforehand, and I don't even know even if I don't even know in the future, even when I am technically ready, if I would be fit. So I don't know, but
Yeah, so then I think in a weird way, this conversation is on the one hand it's productive, and on the other hand, I was under the impression this is a ban appeal stream, and what I'm hearing is there's actually consensus between the mods and you that maybe you need to work on yourself for a little while, and maybe like a ban appeal is more appropriate down the road. What do you think?
even if I were to get unbanned, though, like I said, I probably wouldn't rejoin the server,
Okay.
because I'd probably I've come to the I'd already come to the conclusion beforehand, like that I just felt out of place in the server in general. So
Sure. So sometimes, Brecken, sometimes people will come on a ban, like I can just, it's kind of weird, right? Because like you're on a ban appeal stream and you're kind of saying, I'm not ready to be unbanned, I'm not ready to participate. Does it feel okay to you? How do you feel right now with us saying, yeah, that sounds okay to us? Were you hoping or expecting us to say, no, you really are ready, we really want you to be back on the community, please come back?
I saw this as more of a chance to talk to you than a ban appeal, to be honest.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry if you were a little bit disappointed with how this went.
No, it's fine. I don't know. I part of it was just like I wanted like to externalize like how I felt myself about
Cool.
my experience in the community, because like if if I externalize it, then I also get the feedback from you guys, so and chat, so it makes it um it just clears it up more in my mind.
Yeah. So first of all, Brecken, thank you for coming on, man. Um,
No problem.
I know it sounded like you wanted to apologize and get some time with me, which I can totally get. And at the same time, I think you actually have made the community a better place by doing that. I think you make all the other people who are having feelings like maybe they don't fit, maybe they don't belong. I think you normalize their feelings, and you've let them know that, hey, it's okay to like not really connect with the community and have times where it's like difficult to connect. And that's actually perfectly fine. I think you've also done an awesome job of demonstrating a really important principle, which is that sometimes you're just not ready for a particular kind of engagement with another person or a community. And that's okay.
Mhm.
And it's okay to work on yourself first and then maybe engage with a community. I'm also kind of sometimes thinking about relationships where sometimes people may really want a relationship and they're just not personally ready. So thanks a lot for coming on anyway. Appreciate it, man.
Oh no, thank you for giving me the time to come on. So
And lastly, I hope I'm not being harsh here, but if Brecken was an asshole to you, we can hear Brecken say that he's sorry, and we hope that you can forgive him.
yeah, I wanted to apologize personally to the person I said it to, but to be honest, I don't even remember who it was. So
That's okay. Maybe they remember, maybe they don't. but I think that's enough.
Okay.
Cool, man.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Hello, He-Man.
That's good.
And what are we calling you?
He-Man 493 or just He-Man?
He-Man. So He-Man, tell me what's going on.
I was banned because from what he said, I was talking about hentai and he said that the comment was about me saying I hated sisters.
Okay. Can you tell us, He-Man, a little bit about how you came to join the Healthy Gamer Discord?
I came to the Healthy Gamer Discord because I had a gaming addiction. Gaming was actually more important than my family, than my friends, than anything else. So being in the group kind of helped me have a lot more perspective on what was more important. I actually improved very much to where I was actually spending more time with my family, getting more projects done, stuff like
Cool,
that.
man. And so it sounds like you were addicted to games, and then you kind of came in and were doing better.
Yeah, mostly addiction came from like a lot of my dealing with molestation and false allegations at my work. It was more of a coping mechanism.
Okay. And so what's your understanding of why you got banned?
I honestly have no clue. The only conversation I can think of that I was talking about hentai was in the context of that a person was talking about incels and how like they have an issue with like disrespecting women, and I was making the comparison of the anime community where they are very addicted to hentai, where they're very addicted to these particular fictional characters, where to the point where they even fall in love with them, and they don't want to improve. They don't want to try to be better. Instead, it's more about, hey, why should I even take a shower? Why should I even, get a job when I have this hentai girl waiting for me at home every single day? That's
Okay.
the only thing I can think of.
So you were kind of there was a conversation about like weebos, or sorry,
Mm-hmm.
waifus
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And so you're
Mhm.
not really sure. So maybe we can just ask Moses. Moses, what's your understanding of why He-Man was banned?
Okay, so I'm gonna add the mod that actually banned He-Man.
Hi.
Oh wait, it's this one. Okay, never mind.
So can you tell us a little bit about why He-Man was banned?
The ban reason in itself did say that behavior does not fall in line with the intention of the server, self-promotion, sending not safe for work content in text channels, and being inappropriate with members of the Healthy Gamer community. The truth here is that like roughly a month ago, we got a report about He-Man and another member of our community's interaction with them outside of the server. We found a lot of things.
Do you mind if I ask what was the report that you guys received of his activity
Oh,
outside
yeah.
of the server?
Yeah, so apparently there was this female member who you had discussed about going to talk on some anime podcasts with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she volunteered to come on to the podcast because she was interested in joining us and talking about anime and manga.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds correct. And it seems like what happened was that, in her description at least, she pointed out that throughout your talk, you kept trying to initiate a rather sexual conversation.
No, I don't do that. What it was that apparently from what my co-host and my partner who runs the business, she got afraid because she claimed that she'd seen something in there that she did not like. My friend tried to understand what she was talking about, but apparently she just left the group. Did not
Right,
explain her
okay.
reasoning or whatever.
So let's go back to Z.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your perspective, He-Man.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing, but I would like for you to not interrupt me. You can wait until I'm done.
Okay, go ahead, Z.
Yeah, so from her point of view, He-Man kept trying to initiate a rather sexual conversation, even pointing out that he's interested in the BDSM community and that he's a dom and that he was into submissive women. In itself, this report was, by the way, 2,000 characters long, so it is a little bit difficult to summarize
Sure,
all
of course.
it.
So then
Wait,
what did you guys notice in the server? So you said that
Yeah.
so this happened off of our server, right? So that brings up an
Yes.
interesting question about, do we act on things that happen outside of our server? Is that appropriate? And when you guys, so it prompted you guys to take a closer look, which sounds reasonable to me.
Yes. So initially, if something like this happens, what we do is that we would consider mute and then overall look their behavior on the server. So throughout our investigation, we found a lot of self-promotion, some questionable posts and statements, and some not safe for work posts as well.
No, I
Oh.
don't think so, because I've never posted anything safe for work. I don't think that's true.
So let's start with just one at a time. So you said self-promotion, right? See, what do you mean by
Yes.
that?
So apparently, He-Man seems to have some kind of podcast where they talk about different kind of topics, including hentai, which in itself is not safe for work. So there's another rule broken there about keeping posts safe for work.
Well,
Um,
one, we didn't cover hentai until now, and we have no hentai content on there. Two, I posted that in the creators section, so unless I was not allowed to do that, I mean, I don't know exactly what you define as creators creative. So could you define
so
that?
yes, that
Oh,
is actually very interesting because when this report was brought to our attention and we looked up your post history, it was kind of surprising for all of us that this had been going on for so long without any of us catching on. So it is maybe a fault on our part and could have been reported by other members, or maybe even the rules throughout your stay on the server had changed.
fair enough. So then,
Yeah.
so in addition to self-promotion, Z, you said there were a couple of other things that y'all noticed or had concerns about.
There were some questionable posts and statements. The thing is that it seems like some of these posts were not written by you, but they were shared by you. So that, in our opinion, kind of reflects on your behavior and what you stand for. So
Not
there was this
exactly, but
one
go ahead.
post where it actually says, "Sisters are fucking worthless. Mine won't do shit to help me relieve me of my sexual poverty, won't hook me up with her friends, won't bring me to parties, won't give me money so I can get facial surgery."
Oh, I know
It's
exactly what
a
that was
very
about.
long post, but those are the few first lines of it.
Oh, I know exactly what that was about. What that was about was we were having a discussion about me being in I was talking about my experience dealing with incels when they were trying to harass me. They actually called me a Tyrone and racially profiled me. I think that was like some black chat or something. They sent me all this stuff, and I was showing these people what these guys were doing. Their Discord got banned. So it wasn't really me trying to say I hate sisters, because I don't have any to really hate. It was me more showing the Healthy Gamer GG community what these guys actually believe in, what these guys stand for, and why they stand for it. So again, I will add, it's very important to ask for context when you make bans, because when you don't, a lot of people can get unfairly banned and it can piss them off. So it's very important to just may have pulled me to the side and say, hey, what was this about? Or do you really believe in this? Because banning me outright was just kind of wrong. But that's just my opinion.
And was there anything else that you guys kind of wanted to add that sort of contributed to the ban?
Another one is, I think ultimately a lot of guys don't have enough confidence that there will be any more single women that they want. And if people suggest to them, why don't you get a trans woman and why don't you date a single mother, they'll get angry just because it's almost like getting a consolation prize.
The reason why I said that is because there are a lot of men in the gamer community that for some reason believe that they are unfairly treated because they're not able to get the um, Scarlett Johanssons or the very pretty women in the world. And they believe that if a woman who has a child, or a woman who is a little bit overweight, or a woman who may not fit the beauty standards of society, are attracted to them, they feel as if they're getting a consolation prize. So that is what I was trying to say in that DM, was that these men are not looking at the bigger picture. They're not looking at this woman who's actually showing them actually affection and loving them for them, but they're judging that woman based upon, oh, she's not really pretty. She has a child, or she's too ugly for me. That's what it was.
So, He-Man, let me ask you a question. Have you
Hmm.
been watching the other ban appeals?
Yep.
And what have you thought so far? Have you thought that those ban appeals were dealt with in a fair way?
Yeah, I believe that it was well, more or less I would have maybe had a private call, not on Twitch, but I do believe that it was much more better for them to be able to kind of speak on their behalf and,
Sure.
say
And-
their piece.
And generally speaking, so sometimes we've sort of like arrived at some conclusions, and I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but Twitch chat also has like voiced their opinion. Have you felt like Twitch chat's opinion has been relatively fair?
I honestly am not watching Twitch chat right now, so I don't know
Okay,
what
so
they're
I'll give you
saying,
like
but
an example. So the first guy said that he said some really vicious things and he was kind of in an emotionally bad place, and that he didn't really feel like he was like ready to come back to the server, and Twitch chat sort of agreed. And so that seemed
that's
like
fine with them.
So then the question that I have, so we haven't asked Twitch chat, but in a second we're going to poll Twitch chat and we're going to ask them whether we think you should be unbanned or not. If they say that you're unbanned, do you think that would be fair?
Yeah, I guess.
If they say
Yeah.
that you should remain banned, do you think that would be fair?
Sure.
Okay, so let's ask. Do you really think so?
I mean, I wouldn't mind being unbanned. I don't think that anything I said was like toxic or anything. There was no,
I
I wasn't trying to like post anything unsafe for work. It was more of where this was just showing us more of an example of a conversation.
Yeah, I get you, man.
Um,
So I think what Zeke commented, I think I can tell as well, is that like you have a different perspective, right? So you're saying that like Z's perspective, like there's a different side of things. So what I'm asking you is when a bunch of people seem to have a perspective that isn't your own, how do you know whether they're wrong or you're wrong?
Honestly, all I know is that what I know, and only know what my intention was from the post, and it wasn't to um try to troll or anything like that.
I I get you. I get you. I think you've made that very clear. And at the same time, the question that I'm asking you is I agree that all you know is what you know. And when other people tell you something else, how do you reconcile what you know versus what other people are telling you? How do you know
Ah,
whether what you know is right or wrong? Like, how do you critically look at your own thought process and statements to know, like, sure, you have your perspective, right? So you said that, like, essentially, like, you weren't advocating for that. You were using that as actually an example of what is bad.
mhm,
So in a
mhm,
sense, you actually like side completely with the mods that you posted something not as a representation of your own views, but as a representation of views that you strongly disagree with and that you think are wrong.
mhm.
Makes sense to me. And at the same time, what I would encourage you, so let's go ahead and just ask Twitch chat whether we think that you should be banned or unbanned. And He-Man, what I would encourage you to do, so it would make sense to me if they felt like, that you have sort of a counterpoint to a lot of this kind of stuff. And at the same time, it would also make sense to me that like sometimes talking to women about how you're a dom and women feeling like you're sort of sexually inappropriate with them on a podcast and something that you don't understand because all you see is what you know, that's something that's worth looking at. Does that make sense?
No, that wasn't right either. I didn't talk to anybody about me being a dom or anything like that.
What was that
Um,
statement?
Yeah, so in the report, it clearly states that He-Man randomly told me that he was into BDSM community and that he's a dom, and if I knew what a dom was, and that he liked submissive women out of the blue. I tried to keep this conversation being about anime podcasting, but he kept mentioning sexual harassment topics.
no.
So hold on a
Here's
second, He-Man. So I know you say no in response to that. So let's just forget about what actually happened. The question that I'm asking you is, when someone has a perspective that is very different from your own, how do you approach that? Do you just say no and they're wrong and I'm right?
Well, I told them that's not what I said. I mean, and do they have any evidence of me actually saying it? Um, it's from as far as I can tell from this young lady, she either misheard or misinterpreted what I was saying. That was not what we
So
were talking about.
great, He-Man. So now we get to something interesting, right? So when a lot of people consistently mishear or misinterpret what you say, how do you deal with that?
I try to correct them. I try to have a conversation with them if they are
Yeah,
willing.
so maybe, buddy, what you should do is, when a lot of people are mishearing you, maybe you should, instead of correcting them, think about like the way that you're coming across. Because what I'm hearing is a pattern of misunderstanding, right? That's the way that you're describing it. And generally speaking, in my experience, when there's a pattern of misunderstanding that revolves around one person, that person is the one that's doing most of the misunderstanding.
I guess sure. It's something to think about. I mean, I don't have a
Yeah.
real answer for you, but
I'm not trying to bully you or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, so by the way, so I think 75% of people don't believe you should be unbanned. So they think that the ban is appropriate. And I recognize, I can see how that's like really confusing, because the whole point here is you started this conversation off with saying, I don't understand why I was banned. And you don't see anything that you did wrong. And you provide actually good reasons, right? So if like mods are banning you for quoting something that you are actually, like, in the context of the conversation, you're saying it's inappropriate to use the word dildo when you're talking to someone, and then they ban you for using the word dildo, it's like, what the fuck, mods? I was saying that it's inappropriate. Does that make sense?
yeah, it almost sounded like either she only listened to a portion of what I said, or maybe maybe what she was saying, what I was saying, she thought I was talking about that.
I get that. And my point to you is that when you have a pattern of interactions where it appears to you like people are only listening to a portion of what you're saying and not giving you the appropriate context, maybe that's a reason to re-examine your own communication, because there is a pattern of misunderstanding what you're trying to say. And so when there's a pattern of misunderstanding what you're trying to say, you can try to convince the rest of the world that you're not saying what you're saying, or maybe you're conveying something that you don't realize you're conveying.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
sure, yeah, I get it.
I mean, you don't sound like you are conceding the point, but I feel like you
Yeah,
still don't really get
I
it.
get it. I get it.
I'm genuinely do, because I think like everything that you're saying actually makes sense to me. And I think like that's what's so tragic about this situation, is I don't think that your intentions are genuinely bad. And if, it's really bizarre. I don't know what to think when one person has an impression that you're like asking them if they like submissives, and you're telling them about how you're a dom, and you're saying you never said that. I don't know what to make of that. What I wonder about is that when you have that kind of experience with like a dozen people, and I'm not saying that it's a dozen people and you can dispute that point. What I'm saying is that, and Z sort of said it, right? She's like, each of these things on their own is like, it's not really potentially a bannable offense, but there's something here that the mods feel like is like generally inappropriate. And so it makes sense to me that you're confused why you got banned, because you really don't feel like you stepped out of line. And what I'm saying is that maybe you didn't explicitly step out of line, but that there's a lot of communication that you're offering, which for some reason is perceived by multiple people in a different way from what you're conveying. And anytime I have something that I think I'm saying and one person disagrees, sure, maybe I'll try to convince them. But if there are a dozen people that I have a conversation with and they all sort of read something into what I'm saying that like I don't think I'm saying, it really causes me to look at my communication. So I would really
Okay.
encourage you to do that.
All right, that's something I can do.
And I really do appreciate you coming on, because I think this is actually an awesome example of how like communication can be really confusing, and some people feel like bans are inappropriate. Now, I don't know actually,
Right.
it's not my place to decide whether the ban is appropriate or inappropriate. I just know that
Mhm.
generally speaking, I think our mods do a pretty good job. And I think I would encourage you to like, because I do think actually Twitch chat is like pretty good about this. And, you know, Twitch chat does feel like the ban was kind of appropriate. And so, like, I would really like take this as an opportunity for self reflection. And
Mhm.
maybe it is just that, you know, you're quoting things inappropriately, but like, I would really stop and think, you know, because if people are perceiving that you're talking about, you know, BDSM in an inappropriate manner, like I would really try to figure out where that's coming from,
Okay.
right? Because it does
Okay.
seem like it's not just one person. It's like there's a pattern of like right on the edge kind of stuff that some people feel is over the line and you don't feel is over the line. And you're entitled to your opinion. And I get where you're coming from. And at the same time, the pattern sort of like bothers me a little bit and I think deserves some amount of reflection.
Okay. That's
Thanks for
fair.
coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No,
And
no
good
problem.
luck to you in your anime podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.